Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Ocelotl overview video for the new hero in For Honor. We're going to go into training mode and show you everything we can about this new awesome hero for the Outlanders faction. Let's get into it. Alright, here we go. This is the Ocelotl. We've got him blinged out in a nice red skull outfit. We have got a nice macro-whittle and a short spear. Those are his two weapons. So Ocelotl is the fourth Outlander that we've had. He is a Aztec warrior. He is classed as a medium difficulty hero. He's classed as a disabler and a ganker, and he's also a hybrid. So here we go. We're going to take him into training mode, and we've basically got another Ocelotl here. We're going to show off his basic moveset. We're then going to show off some advanced moveset. We're going to show off his executions, some other tips and tricks, and then we are going to do an example duel just to show you all of it put into practice. So first things first. Basically, he has an alternating infinite chain, which basically, it's very simple to understand once you get the knack of it, but it's basically you can just chain any attack you want. So that's light, heavy, zone attack, which is light and heavy together, and also a bash. So as long as you do alternating attacks, so that's not one same move after the other, then you can keep it going. So I can do light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, zone, bash, light, heavy, whatever I want. The only time a chain like that will end is when you do the same move twice. So if I'm doing a random chain, so light, heavy, light, light. So when I do the same move twice there, so I do two lights in a row, which means that ends the chain and I can no longer do it. So if I just do light, light, that's it. Same with heavy, heavy. The heavy property changes though from blockable to unblockable from any side. The zone also has hyper armor as well. So this is a great ganking tool, and this comes back to him being a ganking hero. So if you're in team fights, you're going to be using a lot of the zone, possibly target switching, etc. And utilising that hyper armor so you're not hit out of your attacks. And if you time it right, you can potentially have a look around the battlefield and think, right, I'm going to get hit in a sec, so I might do a light, I'll do a zone to get the hyper armor, and another zone, get the hyper armor. And it doesn't matter if you're going to get hit by a light externally or something, you are going to continue your powerful attacks. Speaking of powerful attacks, you can see the damage values there change. So light into light does 12 and then 10. Heavy into heavy does 24 into 28. Zone into zone does 14 and then 24. You've also got the bash as well, which I'll get onto in a sec. It has a bit of a special property. Obviously, I can't bash straight away. I've got to do well, talking specifically about the chain bash, he has got a forward dashing bash, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So say I do light then bash, and then another bash. That gets him 18 and then 22. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So that's basically his chain. He can basically chain anything he wants and then finish the chain, do the same move twice. So pretty simple, I'd say. Going back to the moveset then. So if we go up here, so that was that essentially, and you can see the zone attack has got the hyper armor symbol there. Chain zone attack has got the hyper armor symbol again, showing that it has hyper armor throughout the chain. So skull smash is basically where he bonks them in the head with the bottom of his macro-whittle, which is his club obsidian blade sword thing, basically. Then we have got Avenging Apocalypse. So all these ones here are basically now going to be the same move twice. So light light is Avenging Apocalypse. Heavy heavy is Tanatui's Warpath. Apologies if I pronounce that wrong, which I probably do, but anyway. Double Edge is Zone into Zone. Ferocious Fang, so that's that scissor attack that I showed off. So square after another square, or essentially whatever your guard break button is, except after guard break and throws. So of course if you throw and then do square again, that's not going to work. But if you do light, bash, bash again, there you go. And if you hit that bash and then hit the second bash, that's 40 damage. So pretty decent. Next thing, so Jaguar's Grudge. So he does have a forward dashing dash as well. So looks like that. You just poke him with the end of your spear there. Only does 10 damage, which makes sense because you're attacking them with the non-spiky end of your spear. But then you can follow up straight into another bash, which does the scissor attack, which will slice their neck, which does 22 damage. So yeah, unblockable into unblockable bash without actually attacking, which is interesting. Might be quite good in a gank situation. You can sneak up behind them. There is another move though, which we're going to show you very shortly, which does that potentially a bit better, but it's not unblockable. So if we go back here, so we've then got our dodging lights. So that's forward and to the side. So Jaguar's Claw is forward and Jaguar's Tail is to the side. That's a little bit like that from the forward and then from the side. The dodge lights from the side do 14 and the dodge forward light does 15. So you get 1 extra damage if you poke them from the front. So then he has a unique ability called Hunter's Stance. Now, Hunter's Stance does have a slight dodge property going back, so you can actually dodge very kind of whiffable attacks with that. From the testing I've done, it's not particularly easy to dodge things with that move, but you can just dodge slightly. And that's the only kind of thing that would make this move viable potentially in duels, although it's not really a duel move at all, really. You very rarely hit this move, which I'm about to show you in duels, unless you're kind of just starting out. You're more likely to hit it in gank scenarios. So the only move he can do from this stance is R2, which looks like that. Does 16 and then 8, so 24. And that basically pins them in place for a second, meaning that other players on your team can then get off some other attacks as well. So that's the usefulness about that. Other thing to note when he's in this stance is you move slightly quicker, so you can move around the battlefield in a bit more of a speedy fashion, although it's not hugely speedy, not as speedy as just unlocking and running. But yeah, that is that move, and that's called Hunter's Snare from Hunter's Stance. Then the final move is Ocelot's Thunder, which is basically just his running attack when not in guard mode. So looks like that, which is 16 damage. And you can chain that. So you can start your chain from a running attack and go into whatever you want. Even your finisher bash. So yeah, that is all his moveset. It's quite nice that they basically put all of the infinite chain into one move just to simplify it massively. Not too hard to understand that. I really like how that's just, yeah, simplified massively. Just any attack you want in any combination, and if you want to finish the chain, same move twice. The hero specific thing, so this is more the sort of the advanced moveset. So the startup has dodge properties, as I mentioned. In this stance you can move faster and perform a Hunter's Snare, but you cannot block, dodge, parry or guard break. So you put yourself into quite a vulnerable position, which is why in duels it's not especially good. Advancing chain rules, so the Jaguar's Claw, Jaguar's Tail, Jaguar's Grudge, Ocelot's Thunder and Hunter's Snare are all chain starters, so as well as that running attack there, all of those other attacks are as well, so that makes sense. So if you dodge something, then you can just go into your chain. So when they say every attack, it's pretty much every attack. You can just chain into whatever you want. You can obviously feint from a GB. You get a heavy from top. You get a heavy from side as well, and they're all 24. So there you go. Enhanced attacks. So Jaguar's Tail and Jaguar's Claw are not interrupted on block. Both attacks are still interrupted on superior block. So just to confirm here, so Jaguar's Claw, Jaguar's Tail, they're your dodging attacks. So even if they block, then you can still continue your chain. That's what that means. Special cancels. So you can feint your zone, your chain zone, Tonatui's Warpath, Double Edge, and Skull Smash. So there's a feintable bash there. You can't feint that one though. So you can feint the chain one. You can't feint your neutral bash though. So this one's feintable, but not the scissor attack there. Yeah, zone attack. You can feint your zone, which is a new one. I don't think any other character can feint the initial hit from their zone. You can feint the second part of some zones, like Shaman and Shinobi, but not the initial one. So follow-up zone, finisher zone can also be feinted as well. So that's pretty cool. What else is there? Tonatu's Warpath. That is the heavy into heavy, which makes sense, and then the Skull Smash as well. And he has Revenge, which every character does. So that's the basic and advanced moveset. Alright, so now on to the basic max punishers. So from a GB, you get a heavy from any side, so that includes right, top, and from left, all giving 24 damage. Then for a light parry, you get a heavy. And then from a heavy parry, forward dash light for 15. And of course parrying his zone counts as a heavy parry, which means you get a light, or in this case it's going to be a forward dashing light for 15 as well. And the second part of the zone, if he does a chain zone, counts as a heavy parry punish as well, being the top forward dashing light. One other quick thing to note is that you can get a Hunter's Snare off when you are throwing your opponent from a GB into a wall. You've got to make sure you're a decent distance from the wall, but basically if you GB, throw them into the wall, go into Hunter's Stance, which is your backstep stance, then press R2 and go into the Hunter's Snare, you will attack them with the special attack. It'll do 24 damage, which is the same damage as a GB into a normal heavy, but it means that your opponent will be pinned for a slightly longer space of time, meaning that your teammates can get off more damage in a gank scenario. So now we're going to move on to the max punishes when your opponent is out of stamina, and massive thank you to the Filthy Spaniard as well, who is a Reddit mod for For Honor. He's basically like the knowledge god of For Honor. Really useful to have him help me with this to confirm the numbers. He also hosts and coordinates the For Honor tournaments for 4 vs 4 and recently 1 vs 1 as well. So the first one to note is your out of stamina throw. So this is when your opponent has not got any stamina and you GB them, they don't counter guard break you. You can throw them in any direction, and all you have to do is just throw 2 heavies from any direction and you will get a total of 52 damage, and that is his maximum punish. So that's the most amount of damage you can do that's all confirmed in one go. So get them out of stam, GB throw them, 2 heavies, and that's the most damage you can do. Next one is slightly more complicated. This is when your opponent is out of stamina, they throw an attack, you parry that attack, and that automatically knocks them down. You actually get a little bit less damage confirmed from parrying that, as opposed to throwing. And the max punish for that is just to do a forward dashing light into the bash, into a follow-up light, and that will get you 42 damage. You can also opt to do zone into heavy. That's either from the parry out of stamina or the throw out of stamina, which will get you 40 damage, but it has a wider trajectory, which means you can hit players around you in team fights. So now we're going to show all of the executions. Let's get this for Ocelotl down to low health. Execute. Okay, so first one. Just smack him in the neck and then slice his head off, as per the Aztec way. the next one, we throw our mackerel whittle into the side of his neck and then spear him when he's on the ground. For retrieving both of our weapons. Alright, then the third one. Slice his leg, and then he goes up in the air, and then you impale him as he falls back down to earth via gravity on your spear. And then the fourth and final one, which is my favourite one of his unique executions. It's pretty brutal, I will warn you now. Yep, you basically saw off his head like that. So yeah, pretty brutal. You wouldn't want to do that to a friend of yours, nor would you even probably want to do that to most of your enemies. But that's if you really, really want to make sure they're dead. So he does actually technically have a fifth execution, but this execution is available to all heroes for the new season, so we'll quickly show you that now. It is basically like a blow dart execution, which is obviously very, very apt for an Aztec hero. So here we go. One in the chest, another in the chest, and a third in the chest. And a fourth one in the chest, which is kind of like an explosive one. We finish them just like that. Alright, so now we're just going to do a quick example duel with this bot here, just to show you what the moves kind of look like in chain, etc. from the Ocelotl's perspective, and obviously fighting an Ocelotl. So here we go. Set him to level 3, so we'll just use some chains on him here. Right now, also in there. And the unblockable. Good bash. Now obviously he's regenerating health. That's his dodge light. Quite easy to parry that one. Not particularly difficult. Do the forward dashing light, which is the max punish. And do the finisher. And he keeps dodging back, so we're going to do the finishing bash. Delayed our forward dashing heavy there. He's going to bash us, we're going to dodge it. We are going to then parry his heavy. He's going to fall for our feint. Twice in a row. We're going to feint the bash, he's not going to fall for it. He's going to parry us. Do the finisher light, which is very hard to block, let alone parry. We're going to dodge his bash again. Hasn't taken us too long to kind of get used to the animation on that to react to it. And feint the finisher zone. But parries the unblockable there. Back to the bash again. I guess this bot isn't really delaying it. I haven't really tested the bash getting delayed much. Well, we seem to be able to react to it fairly well. One thing I like to do is do a backlight and then go into that zone, because then you can hyper-arbitrate for stuff. So he didn't attack us there, but if you're sort of got a bit of distance on them, you can sort of backlight, zone, find that kind of works. So there we actually backstepped him with that attack, but as you can see, if they do a follow-up, then it's not likely going to hit. I'll try and backstep him at an attack. Try again. That's the wrong input there. Backstep a DB, obviously. Can't really backstep a bash like that. As you can see, very hard to land that attack in Duel. It's mainly going to be a ganking tool. I mean, doing the zoning chain as well is a good mix-up, like animation-wise, because people could get used to just the heavies and light mix-ups if they really wanted to. Right, opponent health. Let's finish him off. There we go, using the brutal execution here. So this is with the blood and gore effects on as well. So we can show that on the channel, hopefully without too much issue. So there, that's what that looks like. So yeah, that is a duel, example duel, just with a level 3 bots with the new Ocelotl hero. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful to you and informative. If it has been, then please do leave a like, comment if you have anything else you'd like to say, and subscribe if you want to see more as well. I'm super excited to start playing this when he's fully released on the 27th of July, which will be tomorrow at the time of recording. So I will hopefully get some awesome gameplay for you guys in full-on matchmaking against other players for you in the weeks to come. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.